Now I'm going to export a couple files that we're going to use. One of them is going to be called a Gerber file. And what a Gerber file is, it's more or less going to kind of describe the pattern to the next program that we're going to use. So it's going to contain the information as far as where the pads are in relationship to one another. Same with the traces, the width of the traces, the size of the pads, all that stuff. So we're going to export this file. We're just going to export the bottom layer. We're going to make sure that mirror is checked because we're, well, just make sure mirror is checked, and we're going to go with units of inches. And see, the reason that we do check mirror is because when we designed this, we imagined as though we could see through the printed circuit board. So when we actually make it, it has to be a mirror image of what we were seeing on the screen. Okay, so we have that checked, and then we're just going to make sure our traces and pads are checked, and you can uncheck any other ones that are that may have been checked. You can uncheck them. Traces and pads, that's all we're concerned about here. Then we'll click on use design origin, and then we'll go ahead and click on export and make sure that you know where you're going to be saving these files. So I'm saving mine in a folder called Jammer, which is in my documents folder. You can always click on create new folder and make something for yourself. Then the name of the file, I'm going to name this Jammer PCB. Okay. I'll go ahead and click on save, and I'll close that out. And then the second file is going to contain information for my drilling, which will be more, where the drills or where the holes are drilled, what the sizes of the holes are. So basically, what's the size of the drill bit and all that. So we'll go to export, and we're going to do an NC drill. We'll click on automatic. It appears that we use two different size holes in the middle of our pads. Ultimately, we're just going to drill them all the same, but click on auto and just make sure pads is checked and that our units are in inches and our design origin is checked as long as our mirror. Okay, so take a good look at this, and then go ahead and click export. And we're going to call this hammer drill, saving it in the same folder, and then we'll go ahead and close that. Okay, so then the next program that we're going to use is called FlatCam, and it's going to use that Gerber file and that Excel or NC drill file in order to generate all of the code that the CNC machine is going to need, which is called G-code. Okay, so if we take a look at this, our options were set to units of inches here, in both our application and project. Okay, so we'll go ahead and click on Open Gerber, and we're going to open our PCB file. So the first one, the Gerber file that we had saved. There it is. And we're also going to open our Exelon drill file. That's this one. Okay, and then we'll click on the project tab, and notice you see the green. Okay, that was all of the information from our Gerber, and the red that you see there, that's from our drill file. All right, double click on the first one here. Scroll down to the bottom. If you remember our circuit board size, it was 4 inches. And here is the 0 of the y-axis. So we want to get this so that it's moved over to the right of the 0. So let's type in 4 to offset it to the right 4 inches. And we'll do the same for our drill file. Double click it, scroll down to the bottom, click on 4, and we'll offset that. So now if we take a look at it, here is our origin, 0, 0, and we have our design right here. Okay. All right, next, let's go, we'll do this first. We'll jump back to the Gerber, and what we're going to want to do is tell it, oh, sorry, forgot this one. Let's see. Oops, I accidentally. Okay, now what we want to do is click on options. We're going to click and change this to millimeters, except this needs to be on project options and check millimeters. Okay, and what it did then is it converted this to units of millimeters. Okay. So now I can go back to my projects tab. I'll do the Gerber one first. And what I need to tell it is how big of a diameter our engraving bit's going to be, which is going to be 0.1 millimeters. Number of passes, that's how many times that the engraving bit's going to go around every single component pad and trace. I'm going to have it go over everything twice. So you'll do the same unless you're told otherwise. I'm going to also click on Combine Passes, and then I'll click on Generate Geometry. What you'll notice if I zoom way in is you're going to see two red lines. So you're going to have the engraving bit that's moving around here. So first it'll follow the path of the one red line, and then it'll come back and follow the other red line. And it's going to overlap the other one by a factor of 15%, 0.15 millimeters. Okay, and here's the file that it just created. So now what we can do is we can click on the drill file. And what this is going to do is this is telling us, or telling the program how deep we're going to drill. And we're going to drill through the circuit board at 1.8 millimeters. That'll take us all the way through it. Travel Z, we'll put in 1. And that's just saying when the bit is up, it's going to be 1 millimeter above the circuit board. And for feed rate, we'll type in, we'll go with, well, we could go for drilling. We can do that fast. We'll go with 500. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come back and we're going to pick that ISO file that was generated here. And this is going to describe how deep we want the bit to go when we're engraving. We're going to go with 0.05, which is about half the diameter of the tip. So 0.05, our diameter is 0.1, so 0.05 would be half of that. Then travel Z, we'll do 1, so it'll travel 1 millimeter above the surface of the circuit board. And for our feed rate, we're going to go with, we'll go with 150. Okay? And then we'll click on Generate. If we come back to the project, you'll see once it's done generating that, okay, it created this file right here. Okay, and if I double click on that file, scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see it says export G-code. So if we click on that, we can save this file. And we want to, again, pay attention to where you're saving it. We'll call this jammer PCB.txt. Make sure that you, whatever name you have, that you type in .txt at the end of it and click save. Okay. Now let's go back to project and go to that drill file. Okay. And we'll scroll all the way to the bottom there. And same thing, we'll click on export G-code and we'll call this one jammer drill.txt. We'll click on save. Right, so now we'll be done with this program in a minute, but before we close it, let's just save this whole thing as a project. So we'll go File, Save Project As, and I'm going to, again, paying attention to the folder that I'm in, I'm going to just save this as a jammer project. Okay, and I can be done with this program for now. So now that we're done and you have all those files that are saved in this jammer folder or wherever you had chosen to save them, we're going to copy that entire folder onto a thumb drive. So go ahead and right click that file, click on, or the folder I should say, click on copy, and then go off to the left and find wherever you have your thumb drive inserted and paste it onto that thumb drive. You'll then take that over to the CNC machine.